Now begins the 100-Year War. The combat of the 30. England's king waged war for his claim to France. In the midst of violent raids and devastating battles, one tournament of champions would uphold the value of chivalry.
In 1350, what we know as the idyllic French countryside was a living hell.
Still is.
For more than 15 years, the people had suffered at the hands of English invaders. Little did they know that this war would last for another 100 years.
Get used to it.
But through this crucible of fighting, famine and plague, there would emerge the modern nation of France. England's King Edward III looked jealously across the English Channel. Wanting France for his own, he had added the fleur-de-lis, the symbol of France, to his own royal standard. This was an all-out declaration of war. And in 1337...
It is late.
He invaded.
Can't blame the man.
But France already had a king. Philippe VI. As the English burned their way across the land, Philippe's army and his legendary knights marched to meet them and came face to face with the English longbow.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
But the most devastating the knights had ever faced. The heroes of France fell to storms of English arrows. The war engulfed the French countryside. By 1351, the conflict was focused on Brittany. One fight stands out as a spectacular display of chivalry and a symbol of the wider conflict between the two enemy nations.
Seems like England and France took it in turns, taking over each other's countries back then.
The combat of the 30 is still commemorated here in Brittany. It was a dispute between two local families. Supported by the opposing sides in the war, the French and English commanders decided to settle it through a trial of knightly combat. Each side would choose 30 champions to fight on neutral ground. France prepared to defend itself against England's finest.
The French captain Jean de Beaumanoir would enlist 30 great fighters to defend France's claim to Brittany. On the opposing side, England's fiercest champions represented their king. The two sides would clash in an arena of chivalric combat.
Intent on ending the suffering of the French peasantry, Sir Jean de Beaumanoir sent a challenge to the English commander. 30 champions on each side would compete in a tournament for final claim to Brittany. With the battleground of the halfway oak agreed upon, Sir Jean set out to gather support from local knights.
Away we go.
As a knight himself, Sir Jean followed the strict rules of chivalry and was expected to protect the local peasantry and ensure peace.
I'm going to keep all the other ones back, just so I don't lose them.
Most medieval tournaments were friendly in nature, held for sport and glory, but the combat of the 30 was arranged between opponents mired in war. English raids had torn through the countryside of Brittany and brought great hardship to the people. Sir Jean spotted an English raiding party attacking a nearby farmstead. The French knights defeated the English raiders, and Sir Guy de Rochefort joined Sir Jean's party.
Je suis votre... Quando je commande, avant. Je suis votre serveuse.
Looking to secure his honor, a young knight held his ground on a bridge in Sir Jean's path.
Ils se tiennent dans un king. Je vais vous obéir.
Hello, welcome, Sir Think-A-Lot. Although that's skeptical. Why are you returning, Sir Think-A-Lot? What are you returning from?
Conceding defeat in the duel, Sir Yves Charel joined the cause.
A ban? This healing one is really important. I want to make sure that's pretty much always available.
Sir Jean's search next brought him to Sir Geoffroy Dubois, whose squires were contending with a detachment of English longbowmen. The knights would use the great speed of their war horses to charge the archers and overwhelm them.
Yeah, let them have it. What? They're still sniping him, even though they're damn good shots.
The English longbowmen fell, but the French knights knew the enemy would attempt to retake the hilltop fortification and steeled themselves for further attacks.
Oh, he's stuck. Look at him wiggling. Oh, he's just completely cock-blocked. Wait, I feel like I'm fighting more than I should possibly be fighting here. Oh, he got picked off.
With Sir Geoffroy by his side, Sir Jean had secured the outpost.
Was it worth it though? Came at a cost, that one did.
Où sont les commandements? Commandement?
Nord-est de besoigner. Pour votre service. Certes. Avertissez votre courage, compagnon.
Sir Jean entered the staging area for the tournament, where he prepared to choose which knights would join him in battle.
I'll take all of these knights.
Certes.
Each knight would be accompanied by his squires, young nobles in training to become knights themselves.
Man, this is so rigged. I mean, the healing is so good, but the units you get are different because of it. So, spearmen, you get healing, but at the same time you get spearmen. Well, spearmen are okay though, versus horses. Might have to take the movement, only because of the cavalry, because I get cavalry, which are way better.
Sir Jean had selected his champions.
That looks better, doesn't it?
As the sun rose, the two sides entered the arena, ready for the first round of combat.
Nord-est de besoigner.
Gonna lose that champion in a moment. Run. He's completely blocked. You can't TK your own unit to get out.
With both sides bloodied and bruised, the fighters called for a break, allowing the champions respite to bandage their wounds.
Tonight we dine in ale.
Refreshed and reinvigorated, the French knights returned to the arena for another round of combat. The combat of the 30 was about to decide which nation would control the Duchy of Brittany.
I'm a slightly tankier dudes in front. Alright, good luck. The healing is OP. Ugh. That's better. Helping these filthy French win.
Triumphant, Sir Jean de Beaumanoir and his loyal knights claimed victory. The combat of the 30 had decided control of Brittany in favor of the French. Little did the two sides know, this was just the beginning of a bitter war that would outlive them all.
All right. A tournament of war. The combat of the 30 was a bloody counterpart to the pageantry of knightly jousts, but also a return to form. By 1350, jousts were focused on showmanship over actual combat. Grand pavilion hid knights ahead of dramatic reveals, and opening day parade displayed combatants in heraldic glory. Knights wielded blunted arms and competed for a rich purse. But tournaments started as training for war. In earlier centuries, jousts were only part of the tourney. Brutal melees with keen-edged weapons were just as important. Injury and even death were common. The most dangerous of these tourneys opposed national groups of knights, especially French and English, which often devolved into pitched battle. This was the tradition revived for the combat of the 30. Yeah, it's pretty cool. We got all those, sort of tournaments from it.
In the 100 Years' War, the English used a terror tactic, a raid through enemy territory, intended to intimidate
Skyrim.
and provoke the French into battle. It was called chevauchée.
It's a very French name for it.
The principal weapon for chevauchée was fire. And one of the ways it was delivered was with incendiary arrows.
Challenge with incendiary arrows? Keeping them alight.
One type of incendiary arrow was fueled with gunpowder.
You've got charcoal, got sulfur, and we've got saltpeter. Saltpeter is the main ingredient. The more oxygen you put into it, the hotter it burns. Of course, when it's on an arrow, when it's being shot, you've got a turbocharged airstream.
The chemicals are bound together with brandy, left to dry, and poured into a linen bag. The extra long arrowhead is inserted into the bag and then tied off to secure it. It is then sealed by dipping it into boiling tree resin. This resin, which itself is highly flammable, provides a waterproof casing. It also shields the burning gunpowder so the wind doesn't put it out in flight.
Now that looks deadly, and I really want to shoot it.
Classic American.
After shooting an incendiary arrow is timing. Too early, and it will go out. Too late, it will spit at you like a dragon.
That was just evil. That was great.
The word chevauchée means horse raid, and it was mobile light horsemen who spearheaded the attacks. They took gold and silver from the churches, valuables from wealthy citizens, and as much food and drink as they could find from anyone.
Sneaky chicken.
A chevauchée was scorched earth warfare to create discontent amongst the enemy's subjects, perhaps even to get them to turn against their king. An army on campaign needed a decisive battle, and a chevauchée was intended to taunt the enemy to come out and fight.